Welcome to the Gita in Action podcast. My name's Radha, and I'm back after a week off. I've missed this family all week, so it's so nice to be back with everybody in this sacred space. And we are reading through the Gita verse by verse, talking about its relevance to our lives, and really just kind of trying to immerse ourselves in this Vedic wisdom so that we can upgrade our consciousness. That's the journey of this life. Trying to just upgrade our consciousness little by little, elevate our consciousness little by little. So that's what we all do. We come here together, we read these texts, we we study, and we reflect. We do a lot of reflecting. We do a lot of reflecting of how these texts still apply to us. These ancient wisdom texts still apply to us. So let's get right into it. We are going to start. Oh, Sukdai just joined. Welcome, Sukdai. I'm glad you joined. Would have been concerned if you didn't. Good to see you. We had a couple latecomers too. Amrita, good to see you. Danny, good to see you. Okay, so we're gonna start. I think we're starting with text 16 today. But before we do that, let's dive into the prayers.
Mm.
Shakti, could you
Right.
start with the prayers for us?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bishtam Shtapitam Yana Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kara Mayam Dandatisva Pandatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savarhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakan Vitams Cha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancha Gaurungi Radhe Vrindavanishvari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Prananami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavembhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Guru Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Thank you. Thank you, Shakti. Okay, so we are starting with text 16, chapter 8, text 16. But before we start, I just want to kind of do a nice little recap of where we are right now. So where we've been. So we started chapter 8, if we remember, Arjuna asked some questions, and Krishna answered those questions. Sorry, we just had somebody join. Okay. Krishna answers those questions. And if you remember the last question that he asked, it was about remembrance of him at the time of death. And so that's what most of the chapter, sorry, we're having somebody else join. Just give me 1 second. We have some late joiners this morning. Okay. That's what the rest of the chapter is largely about is this remembrance of Krishna, especially at the time of death. Right? So in verses 9 through 13, we talked about remembrance through mixed devotional practice. So that was like yoga, like Ashtanga mixed with bhakti. Remember that. And then in the last class, before we took our break, we talked about remembrance through pure devotion. So that was like pure bhakti. That was verses 14 and 15. Okay, so now we're entering into this next section in this chapter where we're going to talk about remembrance supported by understanding the differences between the material and the spiritual worlds. And today we're focusing on the material world. Well, that's where Krishna's starting. So that's where we're going. That's where we are. That's where we're going. And with that, Shakti, can you read verse 16 for us?
That would be Miss Stella.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Stella. I've been saying Shakti all week. It's just like rolls off my tongue now.
Thank you. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, so in this verse, Krishna is giving us two paths and two outcomes. Right? He's essentially saying you can perform the best possible actions in this world. Like you can be like the most pious, the most generous, the most charitable, like all the things, right? And you can even reach the highest planet. And the highest planet here is Brahma's abode. Right? Brahma is like the engineer of the universe, right? And he has his planet. And it's the highest planet here in this material world, right? But even that is temporary, right? It won't free you from birth and death. Right? And he's saying only by worshiping me, by practicing bhakti, can you achieve something beyond that, something eternal. It's a powerful reminder here that even the highest achievements, right, whether worldly or spiritual, are still bound by time and limitation. This is a beautiful thing about Vedic philosophy. There's like so much granularity to it. We have like a whole spectrum of planets and destinations. Right? And so that's kind of what he's pointing out here, right? You can go for the temporary things and you can get a temporary destination, or you can seek just relationship with me, and this is where you can get something eternal, right? And we often assume that when we talk about something higher, going to a higher planet, it must be eternal. That's kind of like an assumption we make, like heaven, like that this is eternal. But in Vedic philosophy, it's not always the case. Right? There's a whole spectrum of consciousness, and there's a whole spectrum of destinations that are dependent on your consciousness at the time of death, right? And the highest planet, Brahma's planet, the highest realm within this material universe is temporary, right? And so that means when the universe itself dissolves, even Brahma, the engineer of the universe, and his planet they're dissolved along with it, right? And when we talk about Brahma, Brahma is it, right? Brahma is like the ultimate controller. He's the, again, engineer of the universe. His lifespan is like unimaginably long for us to think about, for us to even like conceive, right? It's like billions upon billions of human years long, right? But ultimately it still ends. It still ends. So even if someone performs the greatest sacrifices and gets to that planet, it's still not a permanent situation. Right? And when we talk about these higher planets, let's just kind of zoom in and talk about these higher planets just a little bit so we have a better kind of understanding of the map of the universe. Right? These higher planets are like cosmic vacation spots. That's kind of how we can think of them, right? They reward they re they're like reward destinations where living beings go to enjoy the fruits of like their past pious deeds. Right? So if you've done a lot of charity, austerity, sacrifice, you earn good karma, right? Good karma. We all know what good karma is, right? And so it's like tickets, right? We get these good karma. It's actually it's like a spiritual credit card for luxury experiences in the heavens. Right? That's what these like pious credits are that which we accrue here on Earth. You get like a prepaid spiritual credit card for these luxury experiences in the heavens. Right? It's comfortable. It's beautiful. There's like pleasures far beyond what we can imagine here on Earth. Right? But the catch is that they last only as long as your karmic balance lasts. Right? So it's just like taking a luxurious vacation. Like you can't stay at this five-star resort forever, right? Enjoying the finest food, endless comfort, right? You can only stay there as long as you can afford it. Eventually it will run out. Even the richest person in the world, if they lived forever, right? They would run out of money for this. Like you're going to run out eventually. This is how the system's set up. Right? And when the money runs out, you have to check out and you have to go home. Right? So in the same way, when your pious credits are used up, you return to the earthly plane and the cycle of birth and death continues. And then and the ironic thing here is that life in those higher planets, even though it's like so pleasurable, more so than we can even really conceive here, it's not really the place to practice spirituality. And the reason is because it's like too comfortable. Like the senses are just constantly gratified. The environment is so beautiful, it's so satisfying that remembering Krishna becomes difficult. It's like trying to meditate when your favorite dish is like right in front of you. Like a big bowl of ice cream. Just like right in front of you. And you're trying to meditate and it's like nearly impossible. Right? It just keeps pulling you away. So that's what Krishna's cautioning us about. He's saying even the heavenly pleasure, when it's disconnected from devotion, it distracts us from the eternal. So this is his message here. Don't aim for temporary peaks of happiness. Aim for me. Right? Whether in this life or for your next life. Right? It's all going to be temporary. If that's what you're aiming for. Just these pleasures. Because, as we know, all material pleasures, even those of the highest heavens, they come with an expiration date. But the beautiful thing here is our connection with Krishna, the eternal relationship between the soul and the Supreme, it never fades. This is the only thing that's actually eternal. We have to understand that. We have to try to realize that. No matter how big your house is, no matter how great your position is, no matter how wonderful your kids are, whatever it is, whatever you're getting so much enjoyment out of in this world, understand that there's an expiration date. And if you think about things that, we didn't really think about like that, and then all of a sudden life teaches us, oh, wait, this position isn't mine forever. Right? No, this house isn't mine forever. All of these things, this is the nature of the material world. This is what Krishna's trying to teach us. Right? These things are temporary. Turn back towards Krishna. This is the only thing that's eternal. It's the only thing that's eternal and the only thing that brings this lasting joy of the highest degree. Everything else is just like little blips, like ups and downs, like just a roller coaster. And this principle, we see it in our material lives. All of us have experienced this to some degree. And this is a lot of the reason we're here. We've experienced this. All these things are temporary. But it extends even into spiritual life when it's mixed with material motives. So Krishna's showing us that the same pattern, it repeats everywhere. So you earn credits, you enjoy them, and then when they're gone, you start again. That's the nature of material consciousness. This is material consciousness. It's transactional. I do this, so I get that. And sometimes this mentality, this material consciousness, it'll get dressed up in spirituality. Does anybody ever experience that? And this mentality, it still keeps the soul bound within time. It's like anybody ever, when we think about approaching our spiritual life with a transactional mindset, like expecting a reward or comfort or result. So Krishna's trying to get us to shift gears, elevate our consciousness to the point where we're just serving out of love. Yeah, and it's a progression. It doesn't just happen overnight. Like this is the goal. We want to just serve out of love. We are so conditioned that we are so deep rooted in our material consciousness that everything in life is transactional to us. Why would I do that if I'm not getting this in return? Even our japa, we sit down to chant and we're, maybe even like subconsciously we're getting something, we're seeking something material out of it, whatever that be. But we want to get to this place where we're just doing these things out of love. And that's where Krishna's trying to take us. He's saying, yeah.
when you say transactional, I think people like, well, like do your job 16 times, you'll get a better job or something like that. But also, and I've been thinking about this because it's weird because I'm taking my mom's ashes and they're in this big, heavy, like little cart-shaped urn thing. And
Mm,
so I'm thinking of things that house things, and the ashes are light, but it's such a weight, the material object that houses them. So I
mm,
also think about how, the body houses the soul, but then I also am aware of the walls around me in my house, but also the body needs housing, and you need protection from the elements, which is a material thing because we live in a material body. So
mm.
for me, I get stuck, or I have a hard time. um we say, we're not, ultimately our the goal is to just a connection with God, Krishna. This is the goal for all practices and faiths. um and having faith that everything's provided, but it's also a real reality, right? So I and when people pray, or if we're doing japa, we do pray sometimes on better material conditions, or needs, at a time when, especially in this world that's going on right now, and people are struggling more than ever as we see it. Things are, that's a very real need. I think to be able to, one to develop oneself, to be able to explore these things. You must have a certain, um, you must be provided for, at least to some sort of base level, so that one can engage. So to me, it's always a hard balance. Like, I don't want to be materialistic, but then at the same time, like, well, improving one's material station in life does allow you like I'm taking this trip. That's money saved. That's hard-earned labor.
Mm.
That was a material result of my efforts. So you know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand. You're being practical. You're being
Yes.
practical. And I don't think that the goal is just to like throw caution to the wind and say and just like, okay, like stop making an effort or stop endeavoring and just saying, okay, Krishna's gonna, whatever Krishna sends. I think the goal is twofold. One, we need to learn and we need to deepen our relationship with Krishna such that we trust him like a father, or like my little daughter looks up at me and trusts that I'm going to take care of whatever food she needs, or she just knows, she just trusts that. And that trust, that relationship is reciprocated, and I do take care of this, whatever her needs are. And as we evolve, as we evolve in our relationship with God, we know that he has our back and that whatever we need will be provided for. But that doesn't excuse us from doing our part. That doesn't excuse us from being responsible, right? Taking care of our duties. This is a big theme in the Gita. We have to do our duty. We have to endeavor. We have to, take care of whatever responsibilities, we have in our lives at this time. But even in taking care of those things, we do it in the consciousness that we're doing it for God. And that's part of the relationship. That's showing up for God. But so it's twofold. We're showing up, we're doing our duty, we're doing it for God, but we're also trusting that God's taking care of us. And when things do come, when money does to go on pilgrimage, we know this is God. This isn't us. This isn't me. This isn't my effort. This is God. This is God's mercy giving this opportunity to me. Providing the resources needed to do these things. And in that, we're building relationship with Source. And that's what it's all about, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is very good though. It's true. And sometimes I think we see people try to do this prematurely or try to like be more advanced than they are. I mean, and I know I've been guilty of that. I've like left my job and did all like I'm just going to rely on God, but like the reality was I wasn't ready for that. And it shook my consciousness much more than it needed to. Like than I was ready for. But you'll see sadhus, in Vrindavan who are very ready for this that level of renunciation. And you know it because they can renounce everything. and their mind is still peaceful. And the reality, like most of us are not there. I mean, that's a very, very difficult thing to do. And that's okay. Like we're not trying to be somewhere that we're not. But we're trying to live our lives in such a way that our relationship with God is growing. And that we're showing up for our duties in service to God. Yeah. Yeah, that's very good. Thanks. So anybody else want to share anything? Oh, we have a couple hands up. Let's see here. Aaron.
I just wanted to share that, like, some advice I've been given from a mentor in my life is just to, like, because we're not there yet, is like just to bring all of that to our prayers and to our time with God and with Radha Krishna, and like, you know, like, yes, I want, the things that I want, and I'm a mixed bag. Like, there are material desires and spiritual desires, and material ones that are dressed up spiritually and spiritual ones that have, it's definitely a mix. And I've just been given the advice to, like, to bring all that, like, to ask for that purification in a sense, um and to be accepted in that, as we are, where we are, right? Like, and and I think that just for me was like the most helpful advice, because I always have in my head that, like, well, I can't pray for that until it's like pure. Like, I can't, I'm not ready for that. And there's so much we're not ready for, right? But um I just love that idea of, like, we'll just, like, bringing it to God anyways, and, like, showing up as you are. And I just have started often, with everything being like, if it is your desire, Krishna, and then enter in all of my desires. Like, but of course, parentheses, or not even, asterisks and bold. First and foremost, if it is your desire, please bless me with these things.
Yeah, that's perfect too. Like yeah, we have desires. That's okay. We're gonna have desires, but showing up, this is my desire. If this is your desire, please make this happen. It's like little by little, we're trying to let go, to kind of marry our desires with God's desires. And I feel like that also happens over time as you go through life, and this was my experience anyway. I always like pushed my way, like whatever I wanted, I thought was best and needed to happen. And then over time I learned like how wrong I was. And then the more that I've developed a relationship with God, the more I allowed space for God to act in my life, the more I saw how much better things arranged, the more faith I even developed. To now, it's like, even if I'm so confident, I think I know what's best, it's like I know better still. It's like I know that I don't know. I know better to know that not to trust myself to that degree. And then it's like, actually, Krishna's always right here. Let's just allow space for Krishna to act, because from experience, I know that's always best. That always makes me feel closest to Krishna. Yeah. Shakti, what do you have for us?
Actually, I'm gonna read something from the before I just wanted to make a comment. I want to read, somebody posted on the message board, but
Oh,
I do
please read.
comment. Erin wrote, what you said, Erin. I love that it's dressed up. Like, it's something that I'm asking for, and like it's in Krishna consciousness, but it's dressed up like it's and it's Maya, but then it's dressed up like Krishna, like all of these things. And Radha Priti can just tell you, like, that happened on and off all week for me. Like, it was like this, no, it's not that. No, it's Krishna's mercy. No, but it's, and everything was dressed up. But through that entire week, I will share this. Radha said to me, I'm seeing every day, she kept saying, when I would share something, she'd say, wow, Krishna is giving you so much mercy. Wow, you're really growing. And it's hard for me to take like that kind of like goodness in me, because I'm not used to it. But you don't realize it, right? So I just wanted to say that. But Andrew said, and Maya has society learning all the opposite. The idea to think about God 90% of the time, and not material world pleasure attainment 90% of the time sounds impossible to most people.
Hmm. Yeah, we are backwards here in this society, aren't we? Thank you. So nice. Mariah, what do you have for us?
Yeah, I just want to kind of add on to just some thoughts, like even what Andrew said there. We've been so conditioned to believe that we have to hustle, that we have to try, that we have to do it all, we have to support ourselves. Especially as women, it's really difficult. We've created this movement where we have to become so independent. We have no family systems left anymore, especially in American culture. And to uncondition ourselves to believe that we can be cared for, to believe that God cares about us, that He's our friend, to believe that, there is someone there providing something for us, even though I still have to work for it a little bit, it's still being provided for, right? Like to believe that, to have the mindset change, that's the prayer for me.
Hmm.
Because I struggled with that. I still do sometimes, but that is one of my affirmations that I say right now. I am cared for, I'm supported. In America, especially as women, I think we feel it a lot. Like we feel so unsupported, we feel so alone, we feel like we have to work to provide for our family, especially for single mothers, which I know Zoe was a
Yeah, I hear everything you're saying. I'm right on with it.
yeah, I see you, I hear you. And it's like, it is really freaking hard to believe that someone is there to help you, especially when you can't see them. And the relationship that you have to develop with them is through our spiritual vision, not our material vision. And we're not fully spiritual yet, right? Like we're still in this material body. It's very hard to break through that consciousness, that material consciousness of like, well, I don't see God, he's not here, like how is he providing for me? I have to go to work, I'm stressed out, I'm doing all this all day, and I'm providing and I'm exhausted, and how do I believe that you're here for me? But you're doing it, Zoe. You're taking those small steps, and it's okay to be at your step that you're on, and it's okay to take the small steps, and you will feel it one day. You will feel that support. It'll take some time because we're so conditioned to not see it that way. But this little bit that you're trying, it's not unnoticed. That's all we have to do is try a little, and Krishna really does reciprocate. It just takes some time to see it. And that's just like something I'm learning, and I feel like I'm finally getting to a space where I'm feeling that support. You know, I used to feel very unsupported spiritually. Like I was like, I don't have any friends, I don't have anyone I can connect with. And then Krishna provided this group for me. So finding those little blessings, like you were saying, Aaron, pray, or like you were saying, Shakti, like, Radha kept reminding you of those little blessings. And yeah, pray for it. Just pray, Krishna, what is your will? How can I see you more, even in my day right now, even though I'm stressed out and tired? Like, and even offer that to Krishna. Like, Krishna, I'm so stressed out. I'm sorry. I want to do more, but I can't. Like he sees it. So, you'll find the prayer that works for you. But yeah, just remember, we're so conditioned to believe we're independent and to recondition ourselves that we are dependent, and Krishna does care for us. It's scary. It's a trust fall, right? It's taking that leap of faith. But it's even taking that leap of faith while still maintaining where we're at now.
Wow. So real and such wonderful realizations, Mariah. Thank you so much for sharing.
The
Yeah.
struggle is still Krishna's blessing somehow. Somehow. You get through it and you realize the struggle wasn't for nothing.
It's
Krishna gives you
amazing.
a hug at the end of it. I swear. It happens
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So nice. Thank you. I really appreciate all of your shares. Thank you all. Thank you all. So, yeah, here Krishna's he's broadening this point of this material mindset, this material consciousness, this transactional kind of idea of relationships. You know, if we approach him with some material mindset, like I'll serve God so that I get something in return, even though the activity might look spiritual, the result is still temporary. So if we approach God for anything other than just relationship with God, right, then like anything for material things, right? The result is material. The result is temporary. So the external form might change, right? Rituals, prayer, service, but if the motive is self-centered rather than love-centered, the outcome remains limited. And so that's what Krishna's leading Arjuna and all of us step by step. This is the Gita. We've walked through this step by step. It's gone from this consciousness of do good work and enjoy. And then, the next step up, offer your work to me. This was karma yoga. Offer your work to me. And finally to this place of remember me with love for my sake alone. And this is where when we've arrived at this bhakti yoga. So it's a spectrum of consciousness. And only when devotion becomes pure, free from material motive, does it yield an eternal result. So that's the progression here that we're seeing. At the material level, karma gives temporary pleasures. At the celestial level, you do good things, pious karma, it gives refined pleasures, but still temporary. And even at the spiritual level, if devotion is mixed with material desire, the result is temporary. And this is until the consciousness itself becomes purified. So this is the ultimate zoom out of this section. So Krishna's not just describing different worlds, he's describing different states of consciousness. So the world we experience is the one that reflects our inner motive. And that's what Krishna's pointing out here. And this is something for us to all think, right? How does my current state of consciousness shape the world that I experience each day? The kinds of people that it attracts to me, the kinds of situations that attracts me, the kinds of opportunities that it attracts to me. So what inner motive might Krishna be inviting me to purify right now? Because that's the purpose of this whole material existence, is to purify these inner motives, to realize that true happiness exists in relationship with God. And everything else is just flickering. It's just temporary, and it's like a what do they call those? It's like a false happiness, right? I used to hike a lot. We had like false peaks. You like get to you think you're at the top, but you're not at the top. It's like a false peak. It's just it's not the summit. It's not the thing, but we think it is. So the Gita's bringing us back to this again and again, remembering this truth. Only pure bhakti, right? Service and remembrance done for Krishna himself transcends the cycle of birth, death, and dissolution altogether. Only pure bhakti. And to Aaron's point, I love this. It doesn't mean that we need to get there tomorrow, but we should know that that's the goal and that's what we're working for. And every step that we take, we should be checking to see if it's pointed in that direction. We should be welcoming this purification, noticing where these attachments pop up and distract us. Noticing where our prayers are, noticing where we think that we know more, that we know best. Noticing where we're not allowing space for Krishna. Noticing when we're taking credit for things that happen in our lives, taking credit for the good things that happen and then blaming God for the bad things. You just notice these things and recalibrate. That's what we're doing here. Should we move on to the next verse? You know who we haven't heard from, who we usually hear from by now? Stella. Do you have anything for us before we move on?
Hare Krishna. I was just thinking when you said, I love, one, I just want to say, Mariah, that was a beautiful heart spoken thing. I really wanted to give you a hug so bad. Um, and no, I was thinking when you said when you take the credit and then and like I'm in my last semester before I retire. And I'm teaching this class and um for some reason it's going like really well, like better than it's gone like ever. And I'm really connecting with the kids and and I always have a practice where when they come in, I see that I just say Hare Krishna to each soul in my heart, like I think, wow, Krishna loves each of these people. That's and then I forget about everything because I'm teaching, right? And when you said that, it instantly flashed. I was like, when I left class last Thursday, I took credit for teaching really well. And it was it was Krishna's mercy. And, uh, he's the ability in anyone. And thank you for reminding me of that. It's, yeah, it's humbling, but it's wonderful because, uh, you don't have the full responsibility for it either, which is a kind of freeing thing.
Mm.
I mean, it's like, that interplay of choice uh and reaction is it's always swirling. So, but anyway, I thought of that when you said, "Oh, why don't you say?" And I was like, "Okay, Krishna, I'll tell."
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's such a beautiful thing too because all of our gifts are given to us by Krishna. They're given
Yes.
to us by Krishna. So it's not us.
Yeah.
And to that, it's like how could we ever be proud of whatever, and how could we ever be envious? If we really realize that, what a weight it would take off of our shoulders.
Yes.
This just like yuck that we carry around with us. Yeah. Yeah, it's really we sh that's a liberating place to get is that realization that it's not mine, that I don't need to take credit for this. And in that how much gratitude comes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 17. Should we move to 17? Oh, this is a fun one too. Whenever you're ready, Stella.
Let it come up on the screen. Okay. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night.
Yeah, this is like hard to even conceive of. And here he's expanding Arjuna's perspective again. He's talking about cosmic time. So he's explaining that Brahma's one day, just the daytime portion of his life, lasts for 1,000 yugas, which equals millions and millions of human years. And his night is just as long. So one full day for Brahma is almost impossible for us to even imagine. But the point that Krishna is making is that even though Brahma's lifespan is unimaginably long, it's still temporary. So his days and nights come and go in cycles. Creation expands, then dissolves, then begins again. And it's interesting here. I love thinking about this. This is something I think about a lot now, especially coming into to learning more about Vedic philosophy, to see how Krishna's creation operates with this kind of divine logic. So we talked about this before. Beings of higher consciousness tend to have longer lifespans. And we see this. If we think about this, like a fly might live for a single day. A dog or cat might live for 10 or 15 years. Humans might live for 80 or 90 years. But beings on higher planets, like demigods, live for thousands or even millions of years, of our years. So the higher the level of consciousness, the longer the perception and the duration of the life. And this is where relativity comes in. So like from a fly's perspective, even one day feels like a full lifetime. Imagine a fly trying to conceive of our lifetime when their life is so short. It's everything that they know. For us, that's just a few hours. So similarly, from our perspective, Brahma's lifespan seems like eternity. But from Krishna's perspective, from the vantage point of eternity itself, Brahma's life is like a flash. Isn't this kind of amazing to think about? Like we get so stuck into like our perspective and we think that like we're the center of the universe and that's the perspective. But the reality is that there's a spectrum of consciousness. We're not at the top. We're nowhere near the top, but we're not at the bottom either. But that's where we are. That's where we are. But the entire spectrum of all of these beings is nothing compared to eternity. And that's the point here. It's like trying to kind of fathom eternity. Like it's all relative. What feels endless in one frame of reference is fleeting in another. Like so what feels endless for a fly is fleeting for us. What feels endless for Brahma is or for us is fleeting for Brahman. It's like watching lightning strike during a storm, right? It's like brilliant for a moment, but then it's gone. So, yes, from our human viewpoint, Brahma's life seems infinite, but in the grand scale of eternal time, it's nothing. And this is the perspective that Krishna wants us to understand. This mindset of temporary, right? This mindset of material consciousness, it can extrapolate pretty far. But at the same time, we should understand that that's all it is, right? We want to get out of that completely. We want to get out of that completely and join Krishna in his eternal abode, which isn't subject to any of this. It isn't subject to time. We join Krishna's eternal abode, the abode of love, and we're not subject to this transactional kind of relationship mentality anymore. Right. So this is what Krishna wants us to understand. Once we start to grasp the eternal nature of the soul and the temporary nature of everything material, once we really start to realize this, we'll naturally begin to shift our focus. We'll stop chasing the fleeting and we'll start reaching for what actually lasts, which is our eternal relationship with God. Yeah? Zoe, what do you have for us? So nice that you're here today, Zoe, and I appreciate you sharing. I think you might be on mute or something because I can't hear you.
I am sorry, I'm still learning how to use stuff. So
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about this quite a bit because I was just thinking like, wow, the human lifetime is just but a blip. And I guess I've been thinking about, what's happening in the world right now, collectively, everything we've gone through and just everything I've seen in my lifetime. And it feels very overwhelming. And I think, my gosh, to just be in such times. And it's like, and I'm already like, more than halfway through it at 52, but I've seen, I just feel like I've seen very little. I don't know if sharks have consciousness, but there might be a shark in Greenland. He is hundreds of years old. He could maybe talk about his consciousness. I know that certainly there's other sea life that definitely has longer life years than we do in our human years. And I don't know, we don't understand their level of awareness because we don't of course there's so much about the world and and the living things in it that we don't understand, and here we are disappearing it all so fast. um it is it's very overwhelming. um and I just feel like, man, it took me this like long, and I'm just kind of starting to wake up and understand that like this lifetime isn't even really enough to grasp the meaning. you know it's not enough time, but I guess time is all you have, and I guess we waste a lot of time. I'm very guilty of that. But um I don't know. Yeah, anyway, that's my thing.
Yeah, we're all guilty of that. We all waste a lot of time. Couple things I want to say to that. One, this thing of generally the longer the lifespan, the higher the consciousness. That's a generalization. So that's not to say that like, we can't so much zoom in on that and apply it to everything. But generally, even as you get to like higher planets, you'll add a zero to the expected lifespan of the beings on that planet, and in the spectrum, and it just goes up and up and up. But it's a generalization, right? Like so like anything else, there'll be exceptions. And I'm sure, like you said, there's things we don't know, and there's absolutely things we don't know. But the other point that you made there, no, we don't have time. We don't hardly have any time. But the beautiful thing about bhakti in this practice is that we should know that if we sincerely practice this bhakti yoga practice, we can go back to Godhead at the end of this life. Like, that is available for us. It takes us getting serious about it. It takes us getting more serious about it than material allurements that are in front of us. We have to continuously choose God over those things and those temporary fleeting, promises of satisfaction. We have to continuously choose God and not choose them. But if we continuously do this, this lifetime is long enough. And even if you start at 50 years old, you there's no saying, like, it's not like there's no like, oh, you have to practice for this long to get, like, no, it's a change of heart. And honestly, a change of heart could happen in an instant. It could happen in 5 years. It could happen in 10 years. It could happen in 100 years. It could happen in lifetimes. But if it's what you sincerely are aspiring for, you should know that it can happen for you. It's available for us. This is the promise. This is the mercy of this age. We just have to reach out, and God, with all of his mercy, will bring us back to him. Yeah, it's beautiful. So it's okay.
Thank
It's never
you
too
for
late.
surmising that. That was well said.
It's never too late. My grandma always says that. It's never too late. My grandma's not a devotee, but she says this. It's never too late. And it's true. It's never too late. If we're sincere and we're serious, your heart can change. I know you're getting ready to go to India, so be prepared. Your heart's gonna change. You're
I'm a
never gonna be the
nervous
same.
wreck. I
You're
just
never gonna
mostly
be the
it's the
same.
airports and travel, but
No.
I already sense that. Yeah, I definitely already sense that.
Krishna will get you through it. Pray to Krishna. Pray to Krishna. Stella says, for every step you take towards God, he takes 10 towards you. Yeah. Amazing. Thanks, Stella. Katie, what do you have for us?
Hi, Bo. A couple things. Firstly, speaking of time, this class is like flying by right now. And it's probably just how joyful it is to be with you all, but I just thought I'd mention that. I'm like looking at the clock, like, what? Which is just funny. And it made me think a bit about like, often I mention like perspective and thinking about how, the fly and us and demigods and time and length of lives was helpful to me thinking about, frustrations I have with people with where they're at, and it's helpful to think like, wait a minute, this, like, to help with compassion and understanding and my own calm and maintaining more Krishna consciousness, like to remember this is the phase that they're in and they have time to grow, and everyone is on this progression at whatever step they're on, and to think, okay, well, they're being a jerk right now, and it's affecting a lot of material stuff, maybe in a work capacity, and just a reminder that like that's not who they really are. Like who they really are is just like everybody, marching on in some way, even if they're not actively, maybe trying, or Krishna is helping them, and maybe I can think, this is just it's just taking time, and yeah, something came up in a class with Rukmini the other night about being like resilient and casual, and I think that kind of flows in here somehow too. And I remember being new to Krishna consciousness and asking Hari Kirtan Das, like, wait, are the like, is everyone a devotee but they don't know yet? Like even like demons eventually? And he's like, yeah, so that helped me think about this, like, it takes a while sometimes, but time, as we're saying, is really, really relative and from a perspective. And thinking back to the beginning of class with the desires, that's been a thing in the last month or so, is really trying to, and by Krishna's mercy, being reminded, that, like, Krishna, please let my desire align with yours. Like, please let your desire be my desire, and getting back in with the fertility doctors just recently, because the surgery was a while ago, and, that's coming back up. Um, uh, Sorry, I'm kind of losing my train of thought because all the hearts. Thank you.
Aw.
But oh yeah, the desires, right? So I was at iFest the other night with Bhakti Tirtha Swami devotees, and my friend Brajaradha just got back from Vrindavan, and she's like, you can pray to Krishna every day, because he put like 100 sons in every wife, something like that. And, so it's like, and, but also, of course, align it with, like, if this is your desire, and she said, I'll give you this mud from there in India, where the mud that Krishna ate and then went opened his mouth and showed his mother the whole universe. And she's like, it's really good for, like, fertility. And it's like getting these, like, you can still have your desires, but just fold in, as long as this is, because I want to help have another devotee for you. Like, if this is your desire, so
Yeah.
just like it all folds together. It's so beautiful. Yeah.
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 Yeah. You weave it in. Fertility struggles. I it took 4 years for me to have a baby, and I remember right after getting back from India, I went to India for 6 weeks. Right when I got back, we got pregnant, and I remember telling Veda about this, and he's like, "Oh, it was Radhakund. It was the Dandavat program you did
Mm.
at Radhakund." And I don't remember specifically praying for a baby, but it was certainly on my mind because, it had been for some time. And yeah, it's like Krishna knows our desires, and Krishna reciprocates with a sincere heart.
And
But at the
Monica,
same time, that
I
doesn't
was,
always what?
I'm
What do you
sorry,
say?
Rhoda, but what you were saying when you came back from India, and I remember being told, I don't know if it was Vedaji or somebody saying that, with that place, I don't know if he's talking about Vrindavan, but that it magnifies what your thoughts are. So when you go there,
Mm.
you have to be mindful of what your thoughts are, you know. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. It's such a potent place. It's so intense. But yeah, that'll happen. That doesn't mean that you're going to get whatever you want. Ultimately Krishna knows best, but these things do happen. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Mariah, what do you have for us?
Yeah, I love how what I was thinking was the end of Katie's share. She's saying like you can still have your desires and then aligning them with Krishna's will. It goes hand in hand. It's like we can still be where we're at. We can still be totally conditioned and we can still even have our desires, but yes, adding Krishna to them. So it's like, and another thing I was going to say was like, I'm really starting to have this realization like, okay, I'm not a temple devotee, right? And that's totally okay. And the way a temple devotee looks is for some reason how my mind thinks I should look, right?
Mm.
I'm comparing the externals of how being a devotee should look. And once I finally let go of that narrative and I believe like I can add Krishna into my life where I'm at right now, that's real Krishna consciousness. Like the temples are there as a training, but being able to take your Krishna consciousness and bring it into your daily living, full of chaos, full of, interactions with people who aren't devotees, full of all the nonsense of the material world, that's a real that's the consciousness change. That's the heart change, right? So like I had to get off and take a phone call. And when I came back on, I heard you telling Zoe like um you were saying something along the lines, and that's what it sparked. It sparked me to remember, like, it's not how we think it should look. Oh, you were saying we don't have time. Well, we do have time. We just add Krishna into each little moment, right? Like
Mm,
prayer right before you eat, waking up in the morning and just saying, thank you, Krishna. Like just saying, thank you, Krishna, just randomly, you know, hearing and listening, hearing and chanting. These are listening and hearing are the same thing. Hearing and chanting are the two main processes of devotional service that Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada gave to us in this time for Kali Yuga. All
mm,
we have to do is hear and chant
mm,
as much as we can. And it's okay if you can't completely do it all the time. Just bring it in a little bit each day, and it will change you. It will manifest. It will happen. Like, and that's it. Krishna's just like, just put your heart into it, listen about me, hear about me, chant my name, and that's it, really. Like, yes,
mm,
other processes are there. It's nice to strive for them. It's nice to be able to go to the temple and be that, look like that type of devotee. But Krishna sees your heart, not your externals. So you have time, you have space. Just bring in little bits each day.
mm.
Thank you for letting me speak and share. Thank you
It's just
for your wonderful shares.
so perfect. Thank you, Mariah. You're having a mic drop day, Mariah.
I didn't get to
It,
talk for 3 weeks, so I had to let it all out.
and I wanted to say one other thing. Katie, you said something about like, even demons, even people that are difficult, are devotees underneath. And it was reminding me of that demon in the Bhagavatam, Vritrasura, right? Who he was a demon, but he was a servant of Krishna. And even in his what he was doing it in service to Krishna. And it just reminded me, like, when we encounter difficult people that are giving us a hard time, we should remember that, that those people are still servants of God, and maybe they're teaching us something, and maybe it's for our benefit. So I was just remembering that when you were saying that, Katie. And yeah, okay. I think that's our time. Does anybody want to share that hasn't shared today? We
Yes,
haven't heard from
Hare
who
Krishna.
who is the
Amrita. Amrita.
Oh, Amrita, so good to see you.
It's wonderful to see you. When you made the point of you don't, you come to Krishna at any time. I was at the Cow Festival in New Talavan, Mississippi, recently, and there was a young lady we met there. She had to be about 25. She's young, and she just popped in. And she was dressed appropriately, but not in devotee clothes, quote unquote. But I just went up to her and said, "Hi, how are you?" I always make a point to, try to speak to people that look a little bit out of place. And she didn't know anything about what was going on. I said, "So what brought you here?" And she said, "Well, I don't live that far from here, and I wanted to do something today. So I looked online to see what was going on, and I saw Cow Festival. So I said, okay." So she had cowboy boots on, but a nice, long skirt and a, appropriate top. And then as we started talking, and another devotee, that traveled, from the same area, we both were talking to her. She said, we were talking about Krishna and the deities and so forth. And she says, I've been drawing this blue boy since I was about 9. And she showed it to us. And he had a flute. She said, "I don't know why I'm drawing him." And she showed us other pictures. She's been drawing pictures of Krishna, she said, for about 15 years. And
Wow.
she didn't know who it was. She said, so it was so wonderful that she came, because then she got to learn, this is who I've been looking for since I was a little child. And she's been drawing Krishna. And when I say blue, it was the same color blue as you see in the photos and all of the illustrations. It was absolutely incredible. And when you stated that, it was like, OMG, how wonderful. How wonderful. Krishna grabs us when it's our time, just as you're
Mm,
saying, when it's time for us, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, I know time has passed, so I won't go any further, but I really wanted to, you know, share that. It was just incredible.
That is so incredible and so
Yeah.
true. Krishna grabs us when it's our time. We don't have
Yes.
to worry about too
No,
late, too early. You know, this person came in earlier. They're more, it's like, no, it's when it's our
no.
time. It's there.
Yes. Haribo.
Haribo, thank you.
That was
Meg,
so cool.
yeah, it's really cool. Thanks for sharing. Meg, do you have anything you want to share with us before we end for the day? I see you're on camera and you haven't shared yet, so I'm just calling you out. But no problem. Okay, you're on mute, so you may not be able to get off. Okay, okay. No problem. I just wanted to give everyone a chance. Thank you so much, everyone. Oh, there we get to see Zoe in person. So nice. So we're wishing you many, many blessings on your trip. We'll all pray for you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was how
Thank
bad
you
my
all.
house is.
Thank you.